Breaking news, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky expects Russia will invade the region tomorrow. That's according to the latest US intelligence. He has asked for a national day of unity, calling on the country's blue and yellow flag to be hung on state buildings and structures and for the national anthem to be played nationwide at 10 a.m. local time. It is the latest development in the escalating tensions between Moscow and Kiev, prompting the US to relocate its embassy from the capital to Lviv, which is near the Polish border. Meanwhile, Russia has signalled it is ready to keep pursuing open dialogue with the West in a bid to try and diffuse tensions along the border with Ukraine. In a televised exchange, Russia's foreign minister advised President Vladimir Putin to hold further talks with the US and its European allies despite Russian demands not being met.
While developing a dialogue on some aspects that are of practical importance already today with our Western, and first of all with our American colleagues, we will simultaneously seek answers from them to the legitimate questions that we have raised and which you have repeatedly confirmed.
And it comes as German Chancellor Olaf Scholz visited Ukraine for diplomatic talks with President Volodymyr Zelensky. As part of his visit, Olaf Scholz announced $238 million in new credit from Germany to Ukraine. Following his visit to Ukraine, the German Chancellor flew to Moscow ahead of talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
President Joe Biden and Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson have held emergency talks on the Ukraine crisis, declaring there is still a crucial window for diplomacy. The Pentagon has just announced that US Defence Secretary Lloyd Austin will travel to Europe tomorrow to meet with NATO allies. It comes as the German Chancellor visits both Ukraine and Russia in a bid to decrease tension in the region. Meanwhile, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has advised President Putin to continue talks with the West on Moscow's key security demands.
Look, it could happen any time, but they remain engaged with the Russians. Is the path to diplomacy still open here?
It is still open. The thing to remember here is that Vladimir Putin has seized the initiative. And the way that Vladimir Putin sees great power politics is that initiative is advantage. We're all talking now about what will Vladimir Putin do or what will he not do. The West is sending a procession of foreign ministers, to country leaders. There have been conversations between Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin trying to talk him down from invading Ukraine. So Putin is, to an extent, calling the shots. He's already changed the facts on the ground. We know that there have been, the Americans have pulled out diplomatic mission from Ukraine. They've called for their citizens to leave Ukraine. They've had to send extra troops to Eastern Europe. So to an extent, Vladimir Putin is achieving his aim here. He says that Russia needs to be seen as a great power. He's put 130,000 troops on the Ukraine border to seize that initiative. And now we're wondering just what his next move will be.
He is, it is very difficult to read Vladimir Putin, but if people are trying to get their heads around what they're seeing going on, they really need to go back to the breakup of the Soviet Union, don't they? Because that is where, that is the beginning of it.
Absolutely. Vladimir Putin doesn't want to reconstitute the Soviet Union. He once famously said, if you don't have a sense of nostalgia for the Soviet Union, you don't have a heart. If you want it back, you don't have a brain. He's not about that. He's not about reconstituting the Communist Party. But what he is about is reclaiming what he believes is Russia's rightful place in the world as a great power. Now, remember, of course, Russia is, a member of the Permanent Five UN Security Council. It is the second biggest stockpile of nuclear weapons in the world. As far as he is concerned, he wants to dominate his sphere of influence. And Ukraine is absolutely central to this. Historically, linguistically, Kiev has been called the mother of all Russian cities. He believes he is the heir of Catherine the Great, who claimed Ukraine. So there is a sense here that he is trying to reclaim what he believes is Russian greatness, and he's prepared to go as far as he can to achieve that.
And what do people fear the most about what an outbreak of violence would look like?
Well, of course, the worst case scenario here is American and Russian troops actually shooting on each other. Now, Joe Biden has said that would constitute a new world war. He's not going that far. Joe Biden has said he will not be putting troops onto the ground in Ukraine. And Vladimir Putin understands that. Vladimir Putin has seized the initiative before. Remember, of course, he invaded Ukraine before. He annexed Crimea. He invaded Georgia in 2008 to support what he saw as breakaway provinces there. He has intervened in Syria to prop up the regime of Bashar al-Assad. He has called out the West and said, how far will I go before I will be stopped? Now, Joe Biden is threatening severe and swift action here, sanctions. But Vladimir Putin has seen off sanctions before. Sanctions were applied after he annexed Crimea, and he was able to ride that out. So where are we at right now? Is Vladimir Putin prepared to call US and NATO bluff? Will he move into the eastern part of Ukraine to shore up those Russian areas? This is where we're at now, wondering what the calculations will be from Vladimir Putin, who has already seized the initiative. And when you look at the recent pact that he signed with Xi Jinping, there is a moment here where these regimes believe that the West, the United States, is weak, and the West is waning, and that they can seize this initiative to push home their claims for great power status.